Well, everybody, I am here with two wonderful people from Xandeum. We have Bernie and Sean, and I want to talk to them in this three-part series about the why, the what it is, and also how they're accomplishing it. But let's kick it off with the why. Bernie, so glad to have you here with us. If you can just kick it off with two little things. Tell us about yourself and why Xandeum.
Yeah, action. So glad you're having us here, and great question. I mean, that's always the big question. Why are we doing all this? And I'm a big fan of always start with why. Right? I would never put that much energy into something if I don't have a big reason on why I'm doing that. And the story is quite simple. I'm in blockchain and crypto since 2013 with, a few years of hiatus as most people have, but and then got back into Solana in like late 2021 or so and building apps there, decentralized apps. And I felt it myself as a developer there that it is so difficult to build really, really meaningful apps because we're limited on storage, right? So literally, the developer, the only place they can store stuff is in Solana accounts. And Solana accounts, you can store maybe a megabyte there if you have a lot of money.
Not even a floppy disk.
Yeah. And, it starts becoming super, super expensive and flat out impossible if we're like over a gigabyte or so. It's just impossible to do that, right? And we want real apps. We want Web3, and I have that tweet from Elon in my memory where he says, well, Web3 is more of a marketing gimmick, right? It's not there yet, and he's right? We're talking about Web3, and and that's how it all started. And I think it is important for the decentralization of things. Why do we want things decentralized? If they're not decentralized, we have authorities. We have authorities that dictate the rules that we have to play by. They dictate the outcome of our lives. And if you see it in the big scheme of things, humanity has always, over millions of years, evolved into giving more and more power to the individual, and the individual can determine its own destiny and all these things. And that is only possible if we have real decentralization. And decentralization is the only reason blockchain is here and crypto, right? Because if it weren't for decentralization, we can do it with whatever, Visa and stuff like that. We just don't need it otherwise. So I think somebody needs to do that. Somebody needs to make blockchain and crypto real so that we can build real apps like Action. Name me one successful Web2 app. And when I say successful, I mean like, ones that in the top 100 of the most used websites or something like that, right? Something like Airbnb, Wikipedia. Name me one successful Web2 app that has been ported to Web3.
Yeah, there aren't any.
There aren't any.
Not yet, at least.
Yeah.
Surprising, huh?
Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it? So we need to change that, and someone needs to work on that. And it seems like almost everyone accepts that the status quo was the status quo, right? Nobody's really like fancying that new world where blockchain has a storage layer and smart contracts have a storage layer, and we can build real apps. And yeah, that's the big why that we're doing that.
Now, Sean, when it comes to your side of things, I mean, I've seen a lot of different apps be deployed, claim to be decentralized, and they're really not, because ultimately the storage layer is never on chain. Why does it matter so much? And if you wouldn't mind giving us a little bit of your background in crypto.
Yeah, so my name's Sean. I'm part of the Xandeum team here, helping Bernie out. We go way back in the past on different projects. But as far as Web3 right now, I honestly think it's like the beginning of the Web 2 era, just HTML, rich text, just normal pages on the internet, nothing too crazy or fancy like we've seen on Web 2. And that's what we are doing here. We're making the storage layer to be able to expand Web 3 and make it more data intensive.
Yeah,
Make it-
Sean has that point. Like for him, crypto and blockchain almost feels like we're stuck in Web 1 even, right?
Yeah.
Everything's static.
You go on any Web3 page and there isn't much to do other than read, consume, at least in my opinion. You could do little stuff here and there, but I expect more and I want more. I want to see more out of this. So let's do it.
It's almost like all you can do nowadays is connect your wallet and pay somebody.
Yeah.
And that's about it. That's where it ends.
And read some text, right?
Exactly. Yeah. The applications are definitely not where they need to be. When you say it feels like Web 1, I mean, there are a lot of limitations around this. With Xandeum, though, what kind of barriers are you looking to break? Why do we need this in the first place?
Yeah. So, with the real why and why I decided to go through, all the lengths of building this thing is I was thinking of breakthroughs also in other fields. And one thing that is very personal to me is when I studied comp sci in Germany back in the day, I was very, very interested in AI. And it was kind of a big thing in the 80s, right?
Big data, right? Big data back then.
Yeah, it was just called artificial intelligence, but we didn't have it the way we have it today, right? And everyone was super, super excited and thought, well, artificial intelligence, that's the future. And we were trying to do stuff for like a decade or so, but we just couldn't deliver back in the day. It was like we had the Prolog programming language and we had expert systems and it was all rule-based, right? And that didn't cut it. We everyone thought like, well, artificial intelligence, yeah, we can do that now. But we couldn't, simply because the enabling technology back in the day wasn't there. So I lost interest in AI because there was just no progress in the field, right? And then like in the 2000s, there came a technology named artificial neural networks, which was a great, great technology. And that led to what I call a Cambrian explosion. Cambrian explosion is like a metaphor with the Earth's, era of the Cambrian back in the day. And it was just a small part in the history where most of our species just it came up, right? Just out of nothing, right? There were, for billions of years, we only had microbes and stuff like that. And then there was something in the environment, some enabling circumstance that made, billions of species just come up just like that.
Within a short period of time.
Within a short period of time. Yeah. And we had that Cambrian moment in AI in kind of the mid-late 2000s when artificial neural networks came up. And that was the enabling technology. And suddenly we had voice recognition with Siri. We had so many different things, which then in the end led to those LLMs that can even do reasoning these days and all these kind of stuff. And it all started with one enabling thing, and that was artificial neural networks. So that was that Cambrian moment that I feel like blockchain isn't there yet. And crypto isn't there yet, right? It's all those apps are super limited and they look like crypto apps and they are not easily approachable. And there is no databases. There's no customer database. You can't check your e-commerce order status and that's all because blockchain and smart contract is supposed to be a world computer, right? That came up in 2015 with Ethereum. So Bitcoin was just currency. But then with Ethereum in 2015, it was a world computer. You can run apps on the blockchain, but these apps are super crippled, right? Because they don't have a storage layer, right? It's just a normal computer has three components, the CPU, the RAM, and the storage, right? Every computer has that. It's always been like that since, I don't know, the 50s or so. So we have the CPU, so we can run code on Solana, we can run code on Ethereum, on all these other smart contract chains. We can, we have RAM, which is the accounts. The accounts are super fast, but they are limited in capacity, right? You can't buy a computer with like, a petabyte of RAM, right? It's just not possible. but you can have a petabyte on storage,
Right.
right? And yeah, that's not there in smart contracts and in blockchains. And, that's the reason we're building this, to spark that Cambrian explosion in decentralized apps.
So do you believe that the camera explosion that Web3 needs is this storage layer?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I firmly believe that storage layer that we're building, that's the enabling technology to build all these different sorts of decentralized apps that we just cannot build today. And it's like, the 10 years from 2015 to today is like we're stuck in, Web3. It can be the future. It really feels like, and I felt it myself because I was at university back in the day, and I was so excited about AI, but we couldn't deliver,
Yeah.
right? And it feels absolutely the same. Everyone feels excited about Web3 and decentralizing the internet and decentralizing all these successful apps, but we just can't deliver. And to me, it's obvious what's missing. It's the storage layer,
Yeah.
right?
So there's obviously need. There's obviously the why is apparent. Now stick around and let's cover how we're actually going to get this done.